I know when we're working, we're always joking, I'm ready to retire. I can't wait for this to be over. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to move south. For me personally, ready to move to Florida, rejoin my family. But we're all just kind of kidding around until the time comes. And then sometimes you think you're ready. Sometimes you're not sure if you're ready. So here's 10 subtle signs that you're probably ready to retire. First and foremost is that you're kind of done at work. There's not really too much more you have left to achieve. You're not going for promotions anymore. You're not ready to try new things anymore. You're just kind of, I've done what I've come here to do. So that's number one. I think we get to that one pretty quick, mostly because based on same as number two here, we're just burned out. We're tired of working. We're tired of showing up every day. It's mundane to have a job and go every day for 30 years, 40 years, and everybody knows that. You can have an exciting job and it still get tiresome and you still gets old. So I think that's one of the keys is that when if you're on the edge, if you're on the brink of retiring, burnout is definitely something to consider as a factor. All right, next up, you start to hate Mondays. I've heard people call them the Sunday sadness, knowing that Monday's coming. Hey, folks, we all talk about that every day, every week, right? Weekends are too short. The weekdays are too long. It seems like it takes forever to get to the weekend, and then the weekend flies right by in no time. Personally, at my job, we work a lot of overtime, so Saturdays and Sundays are typically in play anyway. So I always joke, it's funny when people say, oh, thank God it's Friday. And I'm like, Fridays don't matter if you work Saturday and Sunday. So when you start, really hating having to go in on Monday, though, after having the weekends off, and you're in a position you could retire, that might be a sign you're ready to retire. Okay, so I kind of talked about, avoiding new challenges, but how about it's so bad that you don't even want to learn the new tech? You don't want to go through the new training program. You don't want to learn a new software that you have to use every day at work. At my place that I work at, it seems like they're always coming out with changes, and none of the changes are better. It always just makes things more difficult. I recently had to re-sign up to use a system because I changed locations, and it took me forever and a day to get it approvals again so that I could actually do my job all the way to the end. So that's kind of a pain, and you just get tired of having to figure out new things and do new things. Now here's where it kind of gets good though, right? Maybe this is a sign because you've got your retirement planned and you feel like you got a pretty good plan. You're ready to go. And that's where we kind of considered that you're retiring to something instead of retiring from something. You're not leaving because you want to leave the job. You're leaving because you're ready to go on to this next adventure. That's the thing that my wife and I keep in mind all the time right now is because, we've been apart aside from weekend visits for a year and a half. And by the time I'm all done with this adventure, it'll be 2 years that we've gone this back and forth to visits, and that's it. So we're ready for the new adventure. We're ready to have all of our full-time at our new place in Florida together 24/7-ish, you know what I mean, with jobs, whatever. But being back together again and being in warm climate, I'm definitely looking forward to having warmer weather year-round. So another contributing factor, and could be a very subtle sign, but you don't really notice it until the end, and that's why it's very subtle, is that you notice a lot of your friends are already retired or are planning to retire. There's a few folks at work right now that are in the same 30 and out position that I'm at. And if you're new here, the channel's called 30 and out because at where I work, our pension program pays the best benefit from 30 years on. So once you get 30, we consider it your kind of 30 and out pension. So there is a lot of us that can retire between now and the next 2 years. There was a couple hiring batches in the 95, 96, and 97. And it's about a third of our shop would be eligible to take a 30 and out pension and go. And I'm a little jealous because there's a few folks that I work with now that can go now. Two of them are leaving at the end of right before Christmas. We have a Christmas shutdown, which is a paid holiday period that takes us all the way through the first, and they're gonna be able to get that and technically retire January 1st or 2nd, maybe even before that. But, so when you see people going, that kind of pushes you closer to the edge as well. It has for me anyway. But here's one of the downsides and one of the subtle signs that is not maybe as positive. Maybe your health is starting to deteriorate. Maybe you're starting to notice and feel those Monday morning groans and pains and aches that never seem to go away. Maybe I personally have a chronic congestive heart failure. It's advanced. It's considered advanced, mostly because there's no road back for me at this point, aside from keeping my health as well as it is and as good as it can be. And hopefully the congestive heart failure doesn't get worse. So I'm at that point now where I'm ready for this to be over so that I can maybe do something fun before my health does get even worse. And I stay pretty active, so it's not like I'm worried about it. It's not a threat that I have to worry about. But you may be one of those people that's having a hard time getting around every day. Maybe it's harder to get up from your chair. Maybe it's harder to stand all day if you're in a job that stands. So that might be a sign that it's time to go, especially if you're ready to go mentally. Maybe the physical signs are enough to kind of push you out the edge. So another surefire sign, and I've noticed I've been doing this a lot lately too. That's why I kind of chuckle, because it's funny, because when I found some of these things on the list and I started thinking about different things, I said, oh, that one's me for sure. If you're checking your investments and where your 401k numbers are sitting every day or a couple times a week, you're ready, because you're waiting for that moment where you go, yep, there's enough in there, I can finally go. That's kind of the way I look at it. Or, I want to get out of this before it drops. Or, wow, that money's working out better than I expected. So when you start noticing and you start checking your balances on a regular basis, you're mentally preparing, right? You're mentally looking at that money going, how long can I make it last? You're probably watching more videos. You're doing more research. You're trying to prep yourself. But checking the balance is always encouraging, especially if it's on the upside. So that's definitely, I find myself doing that more and more often now too. I think it's kind of funny to consider that. But the next sign that kind of goes with that is that you know that you're debt-free and secure, or at least financially secure enough that regardless of what that 401k number says, I don't know if you're debt-free. I definitely stress that for anybody that can become debt-free before they retire, because you don't want to carry more debt in, because that does make you more insecure. This is retirement. Your income is going to be fixed. You don't want to carry debts in there. It's one thing to have your essentials that you have to do, whether it's rent or a house payment, and it's okay to have a house payment. I'm not one of those advocates that says you have to pay off your house. I'm not a specialist or a financial expert or guru at all. I just think it's better for everybody to be debt-free, because your money goes so much farther when you don't have debts to worry about. One of the things I talked about in the past is that my wife and I have secured our income sources and have secured our budget to the point where we can live strictly off my pension payment that I'm going to get. And that's a pretty nice feeling, knowing that we don't have to touch the 401k. I haven't figured in Social Security yet, and my wife is still going to work. And I'm probably going to work when I get south. It's maybe more of a part-time something to stay busy and have some structure. But, we haven't even figured that, and we can pay all of our bills with just my pension. And that's a pretty good feeling. And you can get that place too. That's not like my pension's the special part of it. That definitely helps. But if you know how much money you need to retire and how to what your budget's going to be, it's a lot easier to manipulate the numbers and find a way to make it work. So that's something to consider. And then that's what would be my final point, is that once you have your income sources set and you know that your budget is set, it's time. And I've never heard anybody really realistically say, I wish I'd have stayed longer. Yes, you'll hear a lot of people say, I wish I had more money saved. I wish I had more vacation left to burn, whatever the case might be. But I don't think it's going to be, I wish I'd have stayed at work longer, because I love work. Some people do, and that's okay. I'm not advocating that and saying that you're wrong. But when you're ready to go, you're ready to go. I can tell you, I've been chomping at the bit for the last 6 months, because as soon as I got to under a year, It's like every day feels like it drags and drags until it's over, and then it's like drag and drag and it's over. So I'm looking forward to walking out for good at this with my pension and moving south permanently. But you need to have it in your head, when you're ready to go, you're ready to go. And don't let anything stop you from going if you've got your finances and you've got your situation figured out. That's on you. It's only on you. And between you and your spouse, or if it's just you, you can figure that out. And when you've decided, you've decided. So be strong, have faith in your plan, and work your plan. And that's what I would advise. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.